Hey everyone, this is Leo from Track My Visa Now. Let's go ahead and hop right into the big questions everyone's asking. What's going on? Where's the data? Why isn't the site updating? Where do you even get your data from? Okay, so USCIS has a public page, the case status page, where you can go in, put in your case number, and get information about your case. That case is backed by what's called an API, and that API is where we were fetching data, one case at a time, for all the I-129F cases. There are other apps and other websites that are using that API as well. But on August 13th, or that weekend, USCIS released changes that made that API a lot harder to use from a third-party perspective. So you can definitely still use it. You can go to uscis.gov and you can always use that, that page to check this out of your case, but they're making it much more difficult for third-party sites to use, and rightfully so. Certain sites are making tens of millions of API calls to USCIS every day. Our site makes a lot less than that, orders of magnitudes less than that. But all that to say, it was a huge burden on the USCIS technical team, their infrastructure team, their tech team. And so they needed to defend themselves. And they did that by using software technology that makes it harder for these third-party systems like ours to query their data. Now, the repercussion of that is that our site and a lot of other sites and a lot of apps that you'd find in the App Store had issues or continue to have issues fetching the data. And those issues will continue. Certain websites have gone back up. I expect that will continue to get worse and worse, and those websites will continue to lose access to that API. However, USCIS has a new API, which is their developer portal, and you have a certain limit of how many API calls you can do every day to make sure that you're not abusing the system. But any application can go and make a request to do a demo with the USCIS, and eventually, if they meet all of the conditions, and if they have an app that's helping the immigration community around USCIS, they can hopefully get production access. And then at that point, you secure, legitimized, approved access, with a certain limit, of course, of how much you can do per day. So when on August 13th we lost data, what we did was we immediately saw that on August 9th, just a few days before, USCIS increased the limits of that new developer API, and they increased those limits. It's public information. You can see it on their website, to 100,000 calls per day, which is more than enough that we need to run our site. So we went ahead and immediately started the process to get that USCIS developer API access. It's a process that takes multiple days. You have to show consistent traffic, and then you have to request a demo, and all that's totally reasonable. But what ended up happening is today, on August 13th, we finally had our demo with them, and we got really good news. We got approved. And so we will now, moving forward, have legitimized production access to be able to continue to monitor, to run our site. And that's both the public portion of our site as well as the subscription model. So we're really excited to finally get data going again, and let everyone get the insights that they used to get from both our public and private sites. So we also want to say, this has been almost 3 weeks now, or a little bit less than that. But we want to apologize that this happened. Obviously, we didn't want this to happen. It was outside of our control, and we're really glad that USCIS gave us a path forward. And we don't fault them in any way, but we're still apologetic to all of our customers, and also to people who just came to our site regularly just to, on the public version, just to see the data. So the data's coming back, and what we did is soon as we lost access, we shut down the ability to make new subscriptions. We'll be reopening that sometime next week once we get a good handle on the estimates to make sure that we're able to provide a good quality product again. We also gave all of our active existing customers free access indefinitely. Even when we get back online here in a bit, we will continue to give those customers free access until they're approved as an apology for the situation that happened. It's important for us to prioritize people, immigrants that went on the journey just like we did over in any, company profits. We know our values. So the next question that we're getting is any news on the front of the line and processing. So we just got access to the data, just a few minutes ago. So we haven't started pulling or analyzing anything yet, but we will, very soon. So currently we don't have the full picture, but we have anecdotally heard from some of our customers. At first, folks who were in May 31st, and now we have some early June people who were approved. And so that's promising that the front of the line has finally started to move forward again. So we're really eager to see the latest data and confirm, that anecdotal evidence. But so far, fingers crossed, they're moving forward again. And that's going to be great to see that front of the line pushing forward. We had some questions about tracking NVC. We don't track NVC. They don't have a developer API. NVC has a lot more complexity with the embassies, and each embassy has their own, 2 or 3 letter code at the start of the NVC case number. So it would make it a lot harder to discover and track, and the fact there's no developer API is a bit of a showstopper for us. Some folks were wondering what the other status is. So we group statuses right into approved, etc. Other would be cases that don't really fall into any of those larger categories: approved, denied, rejected. Some examples would be like name was updated, correspondence was received, some obscure statuses that just don't fit into any of the other categories. And then the final question we had, is the History Explorer available to customers? Currently not. It's just part of our admin toolbox so that we can get a better understanding of how everything's flowing. If there is enough interest, we could definitely consider opening up some sort of add-on so that people could get that full data. It's taking a lot more data from the back end, but it's definitely something that we could do. So if we get enough interest, we can definitely open that conversation again. But yeah, that's it. So that's a few little quick questions that some folks asked on our last YouTube video. And but of course the biggest news is about the data and the fact that we'll be hopefully going live again soon. I'd expect that by Monday next week we should have some up-to-date numbers on I-129F and I-130. Thanks everybody.